And we see that the way that we can go beyond self, to become free, to return to our true nature, to return to our stillness, it's necessary to tame the emotion, to find a way of letting that fire, of putting the fire out. Find a way of dousing the fire, so that when there's no fire, there's no self. That self becomes so benign, it no longer has any identity. It becomes transparent. It becomes what it really is, which is non-existent. So we look at the fire. We look at it with clarity, with not with ideas, and we look at it and we see how do we deal with this fire, and see that often what I do with emotions, I can that fire, I can deal with fires to a certain degree in my life by suppressing them, by somehow dousing those fires so the fire goes out in some way. But realize that that's only temporary, because you may be able to put a fire out through suppression, through being able to manipulate it in some way. But there's no clarity of understanding around that experience. So when the material of fire, as it were, dries itself out, when it comes back into a combustible condition, it can just flare back up again. So whatever we do to play around with that, as we do with our worldly mind, as we do within life, the problem with it is that it's always likely to come back again, isn't it? These things just keep coming back and coming back and coming back. But because we've got growing clarity, because we're in our body with our awareness and we're opening and we're creating in that environment, we can begin to see that there is another way that we can actually deal with these fires. And that's actually not to do anything at all. Not to throw, not to scatter the fire, not to throw water on the fire, throw a blanket over the fire, because when it dries out, it can all come back into flame again, which is just an endless cycle. And then when we react to the fire again, we are in effect refueling it. We're throwing fuel on it. We want the fire to go out, but actually we're throwing fuel on it. And we wonder why the fire doesn't go back. We wonder why, when the conditions are right, we go back into the same habits again, the habits that come round, our habits of grasping and running away. Why does this keep happening to me? It's because we're throwing fuel on the fire. So there's no end to it, is there? It just goes round and round and round. But with a growing clarity and understanding and wisdom of how this all works, we see that there is another way. A Dharmic way, not the worldly way. Not the worldly mind, but the Dharma mind. That we can bring to a fiery experience. Is that with awareness, when what brings those fires into existence is some habit that comes, some experience that comes, that evokes a habit of grasping, of running away. As an example of two extreme examples, that we in the past, because we don't know the Dharma, because we're lost in this cycle. When something comes up, we react, we chase after, don't we? We run after, we run away, whatever. We grasp attachment, and in that attachment, what we are in effectively doing is throwing fuel on that very fire. And this is why, even though, that thing goes into change, whatever it is that we're grasping, when the conditions come back again, we're off again. And you can see it. And you can see, maybe some habit that you're not very proud of that comes up. That you can't help yourself. You can see it and say, no, I shouldn't be doing this. I'm meant to be on an ethical path here, and this is not ethical, yet I can't stop myself. You see how incredibly conditioned we are. That when the right button is pressed, we just do it. Creating more karma, creating more volition that just comes back and goes round and round. And this is what characterizes our samsaric world, is that it's never ending. It's like a cycle that just keeps going around and round and round. And all the time we're throwing fuel on that fire. See it as a fire, and all the time we're throwing fuel on the fire and wondering why it keeps on burning. Why is this fire burning? Why is this fire? You pick up, there's a fire there. Why is that fire burning? You pick up a bundle of wood and you throw it on the fire. Why is that fire? What's going on here? For goodness sake, why didn't you go out? Huh? Look at the destruction. You're going to burn the place down, man. Just go out, will you? I mean, we can see how crazy that is, can't we? How you've got to be pretty spaced out not to realise what you're doing there. But that's exactly what we do. We can laugh at that. I'm sorry, but that's how stupid we are. We all want to be free, and yet we're picking up and we're throwing fuel on that which is creating the bondage. And we wonder, why am I getting this freedom? Why am I not enlightened? Why am I not enlightened? You spend our whole life and then nothing really changes. Because I'm developing understanding and wisdom. I'm sussing out all this incredible metaphysical concepts and things that I keep reading in all of these Buddhist books, and if I just keep reading these, just read a couple of more books, I'm just almost get to the end. I know this one's a really, really difficult one, but I've just got this volume to go through, and I know that when I just get to that right page and just get to the right thing, I'll be enlightened. How many of us do that? Rather than concern ourselves with all of this stuff, there's no end to it. Let's have a look at the fire that gives it all life. Let's let the fire go out and see what happens to all of this when there's no fire to give it life, to give it volition, to give it momentum, to give it life. What happens to all of that when there's no fire? But how do I put the fire out? Just go out, fire. What we do through the awakening of the Dharma mind, the revolutionary mind, for the first time in your life, you're going to discover a way of doing something, of achieving something that actually you've never known, because all your life, when you want to aspire to achieve, to aspire to fulfill, you're always doing something. You always have to do something in order to get it. So when you come to the Dharmic, to the fire, you want the fire to go out. So you just got this impulse. I've got to do something. I've got to do something. But every time you do something, you're actually fueling the fire when you do something. But there is another way, and you discover the other way. And it is totally revolutionary, and it goes against every sinew of your conditioning. Every sinew of your conditioning. And that is, you do nothing. What do you mean I do nothing? What sort of nonsense is that? I'm a practicing Buddhist. I've got to be doing something. But if you want the fire to go out, truly, truly go out, not temporarily go out, but truly, permanently, is that all of the fuel, all of the embers, all that go to make that fire up, have got to go completely burn out completely. And when they completely burn out, it's impossible. They cannot be a fire. It can never come back into fire because there's nothing to come back into fire. That's the Dharmic way.